lines of surface and track communications to its system, all through settings. We have to really understand how to come into the memories that we're not, into the memories that we are through existing. Okay? You're not living a full life until you understand the levels, all levels of you is coming out of the memory that you're not, is to really understand the access location setting of the memories that you need to have in tractions. So you can use that so it benefits you in all levels of travel. Now, in that position locations, that puts you in all levels of signals, that get you in communication lines of balance. This helps you and guides you to understand how to use that information. It's how I see myself through a dream. Let's start with that sentence. How do I see myself through a dream? Directing, remembering, the existing, the awareness of the mind. Dream. Bring it forward. There it is. You're bringing it forward, forward, forward of existing. Pretty easy, right? It's easy. Then you get lines into driving, line position location to relays, and core lines of higher levels of existing. Come into all levels of existence. Line communicate high center key, no lines of position that you're existing. All lines communicate everything happening all at once. Then that directs signals process your position location to your system all through travel. Okay? All through travel. Puts all communication settings, all through track location system, through its awareness or through its mind lines of collaboration system. Solar sail. A dimensional sail is a solar sail that basically, when you get on a boat, what does a boat do? Well, let's see. Boat's here. It's simple. That's a boat, right? Now, boat. First off, set core lines, highest interference. For a boat to survive, it needs its water. It needs its water, right? Without water, there's no boat. Without no boat, there's no sail. So they all work to what? In a collaboration of going forward and existing all at once. So what did they do in position? They keep existing and travel. Then they go into different levels of different lines of communication lines of travel. And then they expand in the center operations of them in travel. That's all this is. It doesn't matter how many times you set position lines of setting through anything in track applications, how you see yourself through lines of TEAM. What is team? Because team means something different in set position. Travels, existing, atmospheres of its memory. Right? So I got 4 signals. Doesn't mean I have to have the position of the 4th signal in track locations or set lines of signals. E is over cross location, which is setting up a solar sail in track location. Setting up the lines of team effort in track location. Sun and the moon together. Color it in, sets communication system, all through travel. All right. Recognition line signing, high center location, the highest formation system is all levels of you and how to use it through your imaginations that you are. Okay? You're not looking through imagination. You are imagination. You're not looking through frequencies. You are frequencies. You're not looking in space. You are space. You're not looking at time. You are time. Everything is are, okay, is awareness of remembering existing, which means I understand all levels of going forward in traction. Because if I'm not going forward, I'm going back in sequence. You see the difference? Back in sequence. So I want you guys to understand these things, is to come out of the memories that you're not, to come all levels of access of memory that you are of existing. Okay? So you need memory to have no memory. Memory, no memory, right? Set calculation setting. So once you understand that, memory becomes no memory to 0 of nothing. Okay? Nothing. All right? Now, you got all this stored in your information system. Okay? Through memory, through no memory. Okay? You put that together. Access of all memory of clearance stored in its information. Right? So, when it's time, in position, for example, you're in 2025, yes. Okay, 2025, set position location setting, center operation, right? That's you on your Earth in line position. But your mind is here in track location. and your body's here in set position, right? So this is teleportation. Now, what I'm trying to get you to understand these things. Once the O aligns the signals, comes in all track communication setting, comes into its vessel, comes into its pod, comes into its ship. So you change the zeros into where you are of your mind, your body, and your soul, or your mind, your body, and your higher self, and your avatar, and your soul. So what you're doing and now in position location is you're changing the pyramid that you are into a set position location of a system through attract locations in high settings to its higher communication. From this to this, which is an XT1000. Okay. Now, for you guys to understand that, you have to understand your highways and tractions. All right, so pyramid line, it's pyramid scene, right? Ground line service, sets lines, earth tone communication, right, in space line. All right, so you got an equal sign, okay, which is your motherboard and track location. Okay, set lines, set lines, set lines of a walking sequence. All right, there it is, right? Now, it gets interesting too, because this is where the portals and stargates come in, track location. And we flip the anomaly and core lines attract centers in direction, which is what? Pause. All right. Fast forward, our line communications or rewind, recording, line position location of system, time editing, time stamping, time measure, time scale, time balance. All right. Different formula, different equation. Now look at this instructions. Okay. Signal up, signal down, signal across in set position. Okay. Signal phi, in line position location and setting. Process over 1, process over 2, process lines of 6, process lines of 8. Look at this teleportation vessel. Okay. So you're constantly changing the Merkaba, the tesseract, and the tetrahedron. Now the tesseract, now we did that in Space Discoveries. The tesseract is your files. Okay. Your tesseract is your files, your tesseract locations. So it's all files as sequence in set position. Okay. It's separating your system lines of travel. Okay. Now it's really interesting how you have a direct and redirect signal in track locations. Understanding that through platform is line signal location to its setting. Now this is all highways that are in sequence, but you have to line signal each one and track location of clocking. So you have to be very delicate of what you're doing through space lines of anomaly. Okay. I know it's complicated stuff. But this is the core track centers that's inside position to your tesseract that basically it's a cube. So that cube is electronic, it's magnetic. It's a force set position that sets calculated setting to your data files, your information files, your computer files, your track files, your high information files, your communications high center location, your processing, your mastering files, your removal files. It's all lines of setting in your tesseract, right? Now there's highways and line screen adaptation system when you're going to high lines of travel, but each have a line link, and line communications cross-line signals in location system to its clocking settings. All right. Then it comes into its webbing system. Okay, around its setting. Okay. Okay, you always see the locations of the eyes, nose, and the chin communications. Always face, right? Two face line connection settings, trials. Okay, so directing lines of this through its tesseract, you come into all position location of point lines of graphs, center line communications setting, process communications, and all lines of docking and system lines of travel. So that's not the highways and travel communications. All right, and we change it in set position. All right, so it's a forward waving panel. XT1000 here, XT1000 here, XT1000 here. Okay, let's bring it in closer in traction. Okay. And then we have a mothership over cross screen in direct signals. There's the mothership right here in set position. Okay, grounding the system lines. So the mothership itself is just an island itself that stays there. It doesn't move once it reaches its frequencies. It just stays there. But there's always XT1000s on standby. And XT1000s go through the sun in 3 triangulation settings. They go inside, right? Then they surface out through communications into the moon setting. that puts the storage and communication setting to its realm of stargates and portals and traction. Okay, so there's so many ways of looking at this, the modifications, guys, okay, and how basically you see this in your mind of existing, because everything is happening all at once. But what you have to identify is understand how to change everything in traction, how to come into that through a pyramid, turn the pyramid into a different vessel. Okay, so you go in a square, you go in a star, you go in a Fibonacci into Y, and position and teleportation and track location. So it's all about this, this, and this into that. Turn all this into this. Okay, all through its primer and track location. That's a primer. Okay, primer just doesn't have to be zeros and ones, guys. It can be anything. All you got to do is line signal it. Setting from here and direct signals of here. Setting here and set locations of here and tractions. Directing here, directing down, cross line condition setting of platforms of communication. All right. Now you get a 5 provision. Okay. Start Rickson timelines, process communication of Skynet and sky grids, over cross location of screen line. Okay. So I'm creating highways all through its primer. All right. So we got a Fibonacci. So the Fibonacci goes this way. I attach its system, location system, and it goes continuous force of existing around its system. Now, I'm using the Y line. Everything has to be line attached. That's a direct line link in track location, right? And to travel out in 3 lines of cycles set position, right? Open all frequencies. Pattern of face recognition, okay? Coming in tractions. Now we have a direct line link. Process lines of 1, process lines of 2, process lines of 3, okay? And then we overcross locations to its Fibonacci in the opposite direction signals. That creates its anomaly and a force friction of timelines and direct and redirect the panels that puts all communication setting of face recognition. Okay. So basically all you're doing is finding ways to understand how to get into different levels of platforms of highways. You understand your grounds, you understand your powers, you understand your atmospheres. Okay, 3 atmospheres, right? Then you got your modification lines, your flywheel, you got an open sequence, right? Or you can have an open panel, right? Or you can have flux over lines of triangulation, okay? And then you can shift lines of anomaly and change its communication. But it's still in the same sequence, different line of communication, right? So every time I change it, it's staying in its formation setting and grounds, right? I'm just basically changing the formations in track location to Skynet and SkyGrid and line communication. Setting lines, electrical fencing and travel endpoint communications. Setting lines into all levels and track location, right? Change communications. What do we have in set position? Road graphing screen. Okay. Now we have a portal, Stargate, and screen adaptations, processing communication, right? Change it again. Set correlation setting, set track location system, all through tractions, right? A train. See the train in the center, right? So when it gets bigger, this is what it looks like. Okay. From that to that, right? So, but you can see the 45 angle, right? To come out of that positions, right? So it has to come out of another portal and track location. Okay. So it's really interesting. And if I turn it, listen what it looks like in set position. Okay. But you're still seeing the train in set position. Okay. And now I'm going to change it again. See, change the format, change the tractions. All right. Change the center operation setting. Okay. Change the position location to its ground lines of surface and track locations. And when you bring it back home, look how big it is in set position. It shows you what it just finished doing, right? So that's where you get connected to your north, east, west, and south hemispheres, all right? North, east, west, and south, okay? Current lines of 1, 2, 3 platforms. Let's just start with 3 platforms, all right? So you got northern, and you got eastern, and crossing over western and southern lines of traction, all right? Directing lines of highways, 8 lines of affinity. So that process lines of signals, over cross location of 2 panels and 3 settings, okay? The more you do this, the more you understand the schematics of you, that is your archetypes. Now, an archetype lines of signals in location to its system. So it tethers its core lines of transportation system through its gravitation that puts everything in position of processing through its schematics through its primer. The primer lines its communication system. Everything is in direct line of link when you go through letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. So all you're creating is an infant structure of a design into application. Okay? So again, this is the primer. Okay? This is the crossing reference primer. This is an over sequence line of communications primer. This is crossing lines in a 45 line communications setting of sonar of primer. Look at this, look at that in side position, all through schematics. Now, if I change the angle, look what we got in track location. If I change the angle again, look what we have in track location. Right? Different formations of SkyNet, SkyGrid. Okay? So you're always working with SkyNet, and you're always working with SkyGrids. But what you understand is you're constantly changing the primer on 4 settings of north, east, west, and south. Process lines of 2 panels, equals lines and separation of 4 panels, setting lines of 3 panels, and track locations. Working with the avatar, working with the oversoul, working with the sim, and track locations, right? There it is. There's the pyramid and track location. That's the pyramid, right? Now, I'm adding panels. You can turn anything in settings. So you have to understand how to change the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, and how to travel through it through indications of wire indication. Now, the wire indication puts everything into the motherboard. Now, that's a metric cord that sets lines of communication setting that puts everything of tether and track location system. Everything has to be attached. When everything's attached, everything connects of existing. And how you want to keep existing is through your intent. But always remember, and that position is not to remember, is to know that you're always going forward of its remembering. Setting that lines of communication system, know exactly what you do with your panels or your 3 weathers, because you're constantly changing the lines of signatures, anything through your energy line, that changes everything through its morphing line, that changes everything through its transmutation line, that changes everything through all of its translation to its transformation. Okay? All through its indications, right? So nothing is separated. Everything is connecting. See? Look at that. Everything's connecting. Okay? Everything's connecting. See how it connects? That's the molecule. All right, so when we extend the platform, look what we got through tractions. See that? Look at that. You see that position? 0, 7, right? 0, 7. Okay? Set course centers lines, set communication system, and all through tractions. Well, look, we have in line position. All right? So it's amazing how we come back and track center location to a system all through settings. Equal line course centers into 0 lines of communication. Then we have 1 XT1000 here, 1 XT1000 here. The reason why I bring in the XT1000s, okay, because I want to know what you're doing. It's not about making mistakes. XT1000s are here to keep you going forward of the bodies that you are. Okay? That's why you have the XT1000s to help you out. Division lines in 1 center, track centers, line position operation system, and set position location to a system. All through track division lines of cycles in 2 lines and 3 line communication. All through indications, right? Everything is schematics, everything is travel. Okay? Everything is a mapping sequence for the body to follow. All right? All right, so we got position lines and position location to its mind set location to its avatar, and position location to its soul. That's what I'm using, the mind, the avatar, and the soul. All right, so I had 3 panels, inline direct signals, cross line calculating setting, open sequence over panel, inline track location system, and travel, teleportation. Change communication grounds, change the atmosphere, lines of screen datation. Okay, over sequence, line direction, over cross location system, all through settings, in position location to its orb. There's an orb. Oh, you weren't allowed to see it too fast. There's the orb of detection. Boom. So, triangulation lines, let's add a triangulation over cross location of 2 zeros and track communications with platforms. Directing signals into modification grounds, inline communications. Bring it back home, sets communication. All right, bigger through attraction. So we all have to understand how to work through that in all formation location settings when it comes to everything that you see in formations of coding, right? So you have to understand this is 1, right? So, and this is 1. Are they separated or no? No, they're never separated. You know why? Because they're always together, which means they're constantly existing in its flow. So this is going forward and this is going forward. Nothing is stopping in flow. Everything is going always forward, forward, forward. There's nothing stopping in flow. So it doesn't matter if you do this. It doesn't matter if you do this. It doesn't matter if you do this. Okay? What you have to understand is a continuous flow that keeps existing in all lines position, but I'm not doing it through memory. I'm doing it who I am. So what you have to understand is how to identify that through coding of what you are in supposition of frequencies, knowing exactly how to keep going in a circulation, rotations of just keep going in supposition to its operation, right? And it doesn't matter how you see it in all formations of NEWS, okay? This opens up all your patterns. This opens all your sequence in that lines of communication system. Set lines of communication, your clockings, 2 clocking lines, 2 tractions, and 1 setting. There's a clock. Who says I have to have 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? Who says I have to have this? That's a clock, that's a clock. That's my own coding, that's my own coding. But I also know this is coding of its own self. So 12 is its clocking system, which is connected to your Earth. That's your Earth, right? So we look at this, there's your Earth, okay? So that's lines of communication system all through travel. This is how you see your Earth in supposition. That's your Earth, right? That's a 12 clocking system. But that's a clock in space, that's a clock in space. So you have to understand how this all works in clocking, right? You have to understand how this works all in line position location setting all through operation service. So a 12 clocking system, you have 12 in position of 1 in position of 2 over 6. That's a clock. Okay? So what you have to understand how to get in the conscious of its awareness to travel through it in a direct line of sight. So this is inside. Okay? This is outside. Okay? This is inside, this is outside. Okay? Now, what you have to understand is that the 1 is inside because it's the interception, right, to the outerception of 1. Okay? This is inside, this is outside. Very simple, right? This is inside, this is outside. Easy, right? Now, what you understand, this is inside, okay? That's going inside, but this is outside now. See what I said? Solar sail and traction. So you have to understand how to divert and redivert and recalculate, remodify, and track location. Okay, because it's constantly different lines of programming. Formula, setting track centers into computer lines, course centers of travel. Calculation graphs and 45 line communication lines, high set location of T reception and track location. All right, so basically you're bringing this out, right? But you need coloration. Coloration lines of 1, 2, let's color it all in green, just green. It's all green, matrix. Green lines, course centers into heartline position location travels into a magnetic ball in rotation setting. The green lines of surface and track locations. All right, comes out the equation, overrides its sequence, puts everything on standby in line position locations. Now you see this coming out, right? Back in position, right? So when you bring something out, it's on its own. It travels on its own. But it stays in the lines, see? It stays within the lines. That's the moon. Okay, Australia? So when you get into your moon, this is what it is. It's a perfect operation system. Your highways never go out of formation system because it always stays within the lines of communication. Look at this in all graph communication to its holographic city, holographic symbolism, holographic highways, and line direct signals. Look at the beauty, look at the art, and line position location system all through traction. Hoo-ah. Nothing's out of order. Nothing's out of sync. Right? So it knows exactly what it's doing in set position. Okay? You bring it back home, sets its traction bigger. You see it bigger now, how it's done through equation. Right? Okay, guys? So it's staying within the lines with the moon. Okay, the sun is the light. Okay, the sun is a simulation. The moon is its motional system. That's why it has light and it has dark. Sun has light and dark, but through a simulation graph. So you have to understand the course centers, how the projector works, and line screen adaptations, a process of kaleidoscope communication. As direct signals, process lines of 1 signal in position location of 2 settings. Process lines that indicate line height set locations, the 3 lines of communication system. Process calculation over cross location setting, over cross line communications, over line direct signals, and modification ground lines of symbolism. You have to know exactly what your sun and what your moon is doing in travel. Okay? So in that line position locations, this gets really interesting. Let's do this again. So you have the center core system, all right? Space line, space line, space line, space line. Empty, empty. So it's existing all at once, right? 4 lines of sequence. Empty, 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 right? You are solid matter inside. So empty equals space, empty equals space, 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 empty space, right? 4 signals, right? So you got 4 settings of grounds in set position, okay? So, and then you got 6 lines of communication lines of panels in set position, right? So it's really interesting how you bring this forward in position lines of track centers location to a system that creates its outcome and modify through a Stargate. Hooah. Gypsy's going to love this now. How Stargate is actually modified in signal through all lines of communication setting. All 4 communication lines of space and anomaly. How you create it through a Stargate and a star portal in the star command system. Track centers directing modification grounds of symbolism location setting to travel. 2-dimensional door screens. Set course centers a clocking system of 1 in position of 2 over 3 over 4 panels in track location. Hooah. A telepod. A cryptopod. Okay? A cryonesis pod. So you have to stand, you're in the center here, and you decide what you're going to do in travel and communication. Right? So, really interesting when you see 4 windows of cycles, line communication of 4 lines of calculation lines of empty space, you are the solid matter of set position, location, and travel. It's pretty amazing stuff when you really understand how this all works. All right, so sets lines of platform here, set lines of powers, and the atmospheres of screen adaptation. All right, sets you in your communication system and the 4 lines of signals and 3 track location of 7 line rotations. Here's your Merkaba, tesseract, and tetrahedron. That you're inside. Okay? So once you identify the brackets of empty space, it gets much easier to understand you through center operation. Now you can change that. You got 4 panels, right? 4 clocking system. Turns that into the Earth inside of you in rotation setting. Now it's your Earth. So it's the Earth and the Merkaba and the Earth. So you can mutate. So that's where the avatar can come in and come out now. Come in, come out, come in, and come out. Right? That's what the team is coming into attractions now. Know exactly how to go through the line state location of your sun and your moon. Or what your sun and your moon are doing. Right? So if you're in provision lines of cycles and line screen adaptation to a surface, you have to understand the 4 clocking systems in position lines of attractions in 5 settings. 0, 1, set position of set lines. 0, line position of 2, set location. Change ground lines of surface over cross location. Directing lines of panels. Operate system calculations, right? Process lines of 1, process lines of 4, process lines of 8, and process lines of 12 in traction. Right? Change communication lines of ground lines of surface is that position. Right? Over cross lines of planet sequence and kaleidoscope in position of sun and the moon. Sun and the moon crosses line signal location setting to its atom that rotates its system in lines of travel. Sets course centers. Center lines of surface and set position location of measure. Scales lines, course centers lines of 2 over system and line position location of system and travel. Directing lines of course centers, line position of planet surface over cross location system, process lines into compass and direct signals into time sequence of pi and track location. Directing core lines of calculation system over line signals and track location. Bring it back home in set position. Oh yeah, look how big it is. All right. So everything I'm doing, guys, on a 4-lining panel, once you understand the empty space, so you have 4 systems in north, east, west, and south, it gets much easier how you can mutate and travel in position. But you need magnetic charge, you need electronic charge, and you also need a magnetic force. That puts all communication system. Understanding yourself through a box of what you are inside in traction. Okay, that's you, right? Inside, right? So you have standing 4 panels. Okay, you got your ceilings, and you got your walls, and you got your grounds. Simple, right? Right? So understanding that, then you can understand how to put the line signals together and travel communication to a system all through calculations, right? Once you understand that, then you understand the center operation of U, okay, which is your hanger. So once you get into that, then you can do the center set position location and track location setting to your stargates and star portals and set track location. There's your hanger. So your hanger gets bigger and bigger and bigger over time. Seconds, minutes, and hours of existing in set position lines of travel. That's core track centers, direct signals, change communication, clocking system. Mechanism lines of power over line signal. Balance position location to a system all through travel. Right? Amazing when you understand that. Absolutely incredible. Platform 1 over 2 over 3 over 6. Setting core lines, center core system, and 3 platforms of track location setting and travel in position of its operation, surface, and traction. Change direct signals. Look what we have in set position. Okay. Your Earth and center operation. Okay. Your Earth and center operation, right? So everything is coming at you now, to you, from you, of you, for you, guide you. System lines, high center interference, travel, in communication setting. Plasma 1, plasma 2, plasma 3. Setting signals, inline communication system, all right? Setting track location system. So all data formation lines are coming in this system into a bigger system over crossing line connection setting into all sequence of reality of existing all at once in traction. Okay? Set lines of data file 1, data 2, and data 4 in set position. Okay? Setting ground lines and communication lines of surface and set track locations. 3-dimensional doors. This is Dr. Strange. Right? So I'm showing you how everything that you guys set your tone to through your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, you're changing the time, but it's existing all at once, of time. So the of time is just existing all at once. So it's a continuous force. It's like I said, you get in a car, you just never get out of the car. Okay? You just basically mutate in different levels of frequency inside the center, which basically the mind takes everything over, knowing that you're always in levels of empty space on a 4th signal, 6th signal, 8th signal, 9th signal. But what makes everything possible of you changing yourself in the center of the Merkaba? Look at this, another teleportation vessel. See? Changes. See? It's different. Sets lines of screen lines adaptations in a box frame. Check this out. Another teleportation vessel. Look at that. Changing vessels constantly in the center operation of you that never leaves the center. So once you recognize that through its alignment, it's much easier to see that through the hangers of information setting of data. That process your communication setting. So what I'm doing is that I'm not traveling through a story. I'm traveling through the mind of its conception of just existing. Okay. So you get in a position location, you're not a story, you are a story. But how you see yourself as a story is to change the coding in track location of the system. How you see yourself through dimensional doors. Right? Going through that setting. So you're here and you're traveling here and you're traveling here in setting. Okay, going through those 3 doors, right? So you're here, like I said, and you're deciding which door you go through. So you're here, but you're already here. I said that before, right? Okay, now you put that together, the 3 doors of cycle, there's your teleportation vessel. Okay, now you just got to get grounds with the crop circle. Oh, why we have crop circles now? That's what you're doing. You're tethering the earth through a crop circle to Mother Earth now. So it's important you understand how this all works. So once you get into teleportation, once you understand the dimensional doors of you, once you synchronize your system through pi, you synchronize yourself to the earth that you are. That's why there's crop circles on your earth, guys. Okay? So it's like a telephone call away, right? It's a clarion call. It's a correlation system. It's a track provision. It's a coding weaving system. It's a monitoring system. Okay? It's a multi-tone system. It's a track communication setting. It's an electrical fence system. It's a magnetic lines, a phone line system. It's all track communication setting of sonar and echo, right? So you understand that, then you come into this and surface and track communications to your system, to your planet. See? Look at that. Look at the boat. See the boat? See, now it's a boat, see? All I got to do is add the sail. Hoo-ah. Look how powerful it is when you change things, right? So it's important you understand how you're constantly changing story frames of you is understanding You're never, ever changing yourself. It's the mind that's changing the body. Mind changing the body. Mind a conception of the body that you're in, not the body that you're not. Puts all communication setting, all loves of you, a center operation system that never, ever, ever leaves your system and travel. It just changes like this through coding. Now, it's easier when you break these things down. So let's go into figures, systems, location, and travel. Point lines of graph communications. Indicate lines of 4 settings. Process line of 45 angle. Sonar communication of 3 set locations. Very powerful stuff, right? All right, so let's get in position lines of high center interference of team. T-E-A-M. Okay, got team right at the top, right? So we got travels here, and we got teleportation here, and we got telecommunication here, and 4 signals. 4 signals of all levels of T, guys. Just T alone. Just T alone. So I need you guys to get in your pi. I need you guys to get in your codings of pi. So you understand how to get T in 12 lines of signals of pi in set position to your settings in track location. Your teleportation vessel. See, it's already set up. All through TEAM. So I don't need to go through E. I don't need to go through A. I don't need to go to M because it's showing you through intelligence. There's the teleportation vessel. Look at the teleportation vessel that I'll be traveling through. Hooah. So I'm trying to get you guys to understand these things so you get a true understanding how to break down what team is, all through coding, all through setting, and all through traction. It's very powerful. And then you come into the energy, okay, energy of existing. And now I come into all levels. So you got to in position, how do I go through pi lines of coding signals through 12 lines of pi? Well, you have to understand, basic understanding is all levels of communication setting to your efficacy and your performance. This is pi. This is the center. Let's change it in 3 cycles. All right, so set positions of A. Okay, what is A? Okay, A is the atmosphere at the top. Okay, A is the atom. A is airplane. 3 lines of triangulation. It all existing all at once. So that's a clocking system. But what happened from this to here? Did I do anything? Did I do anything from here to here to get to there? Because I'm already there. But you split lines of anomaly in clocking system. That's how you become a full clocking system of 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. You decide how you want to come into your A's. You decide how you want to come into your B's. You decide how you want to come into your C's, which is serious, right? Serious A, B, and C, right? So it comes in endorphins. It comes in your currents. Okay, it comes in your correlations path, your pathogen location setting, how you see yourself in 3 different A's, right? And then you go in positions of B, in position lines of C, and position lines of D, and track locations. That's a clocking system. Okay? So center lines into sonar. Sets communication lines of echo. Set lines position locations, processing line position locations of figure 8 and track locations of yin and yang. Getting mechanism line core centers, there's the intelligence information, and face recognition. There's the intelligence. Boom. Okay. I signals, set lines of communication. Intelligence. Inside through its clocking system. Right? So I'm just showing you how powerful it is, how you recognize all these things through pi attractions, right? So you really have to come in your coding and position your skynets and track locations to see it through a bar graph, an energy graph, a communication graph, a Schumann resonance graph. So get into the grounds, the powers, and the atmospheres puts everything in balance of communication settings. How you see yourself through waves, how you see yourself through gridding, how you see yourself through high calculations, how you see yourself through medium cycles, how do you see through low frequency, how do you see through medium high frequency, how do you see through low vibration, how do you see through high vibration? Okay, how do you see it? How do you see everything in attractions? You go back home, brings you back in system, location, where it's supposed to be. But that's exactly what it is. The mind itself brings everything home, not back at home, just basically it gets bigger where it's supposed to be, right? Because that's where it's always been, because it knows its existence, where it is in frame communication setting to its solar attractions when it comes in its graph. And how to see that, you see its formation system of a teleportation vessel that you are in traction of existing, all through TEAM, team, right? So get into coding is breaking down the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. But you have to understand how to take the L, okay, and turn it into a vessel of communication. There's a vessel right there, see? And then you ground yourself. That's what you have to do through the vessel now, see? You ground yourself, which is your earth. Okay, guys? That's all it is. You ground yourself, and then you're tethered to it now, like a kite. You're on the ground now. Oh, that's a big one. That's a huge one. That's huge. Now you understand why you have crop circles on your earth. Because you're grounding and you're tethering yourself. So basically, you are basically tethered in set position to your body now. To your teleportation vessel. Hooah! Okay? All right. So look what I did with L. Same with N. Okay, so how do I turn that in position? Well, I do this in directions. So it's really interesting. See? See the N? Look at the N now. Look what it turns into. Two vessels of communication. One here, one here. So one's surfacing and triangulation changing, and this one's going this way in that position. Two teleportation vessels, all through N. You understand now, guys? Do you understand what is going on with letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols? We have to become consciously aware how to change it into its existing, all levels of everything happening all at once in your NEWS through coding. Okay? Two teleportation vessels. Look at this. Look what I do with a box. Right? What does it come into? A capsule. Okay? So I'm trying to get you guys to know exactly what you're doing, information system, when you understand all communication setting to all levels of empty space. And that's where you come into this. Okay? But now you understand why you have to be in position locations in all track location system to be tethered to the earth through crop circle, through your teleportation. Right? Because you have to ground the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, guys, because it's also connected to its what? L is connected to its earth in 3 settings, its own earth set position. I know it's a lot to take in. So that puts all lines at high center locations. Numbers also in position located to a system that's tethered to its own earth attractions. Symbols, same thing. Now, what you're doing is you're creating platforms now in set position. Whoa! Letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. There's its earth and position tethered to its system. There's the platforms that you travel on. There you go. You're there in signal through pi. Whoa. And that's just letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols. That's not even indicated position location to anything through all levels of anything of love, right? Or anything in network, or anything in system, or anything in shape. It's all tethered to the earth. So what is your earth? Your earth is your divots. It's your platform. It's your platform. That's all it is. So if you get into a letter to a setting of a frequency of a word itself is its width, its operation of relining its direction, right? Tethered to its earth. Okay, boom. Now, if it wants to come out, take the D, platform E. Okay, you want to take the O, platform C, in set position of center. Okay, take the W, over cross location, over line signal location setting, and create a portal of communication setting to a Stargate of communication. Right? Change it. Look what we have in track locations. Hooah. Magnetic force of its highway and setting. All through WORD. Okay? And look at this. Coming out. Okay? Out of the portals and stargates and the wormholes and the black hole. Okay, guys? So I'm just showing you how powerful it is, how to direct and redirect your signals to your letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, how it's all connected to its earth of operation system, all through triangulation. So the earth itself has a clock. It has to have a clock because it controls everything in mechanism that basically controls everything in tether, that puts everything in activation code setting, that puts everything in code weaving. Now we have to understand what code weaving is. It's like knitting a sweater or crocheting, right? Lapping, overlapping, overlooping, right? So it's not like tying your shoes, right? So it's basically in that positional occasions when you tie your shoes, loop over, cross through, right? Basic understanding is principles and know exactly what you're doing through your earth. So you're tethered to everything that you do and mechanism. Everything has to be tethered in your system to your setting. Has to be tethered to you as you're going through existence and supposition. It doesn't matter where you go. You're always tethered to your earth. What separates you is the mind of itself. All right, so this is what it is. This is the confusing part. This is your earth, right? But you're not tethered. Okay, so basically, in positional occasions, what happens in positionalized high centers, the equaline signals starts to fall. Okay, so your teleportation vessel starts to fall. All right, hits its earth and trapplications. Right, so you have to understand how to balance out through the equilibrium and position of your vessel communication to keep yourself balanced, right? So you can't go below 10,000 dec, because that's what happens, right? And remember, your body is on top of its system locations, all right? So it's important you understand that. Different formula, different equation now, right? Different story, different anomaly, okay? So it doesn't affect your system because you're changing the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, seconds, minutes per hour. So it has no formation system until you go back to this subtraction. It's only if you want to change that through intention, right? But you're constantly moving forward. You're never, ever moving back. Even if you think you're moving back, you're moving forward. What confuses you is what you're in that positions of is not understanding your acceptance of who you are and recognizing everything around you is also moving forward of existing. It's your body that gets very confused in the mind of where it is in adaptation of travel. Okay? So that's all it is. So when you're looking at things, okay, it's moving forward in tractions. It's always moving forward. It's never moving back. Okay, but then you realize it's not back and forward, it's just direct and redirect. Then here's the earth, now you're tethered to the earth, a balance. That's all it is. Then you understand, comes in that position locations. Laser traction comes in sonar. Okay, when it comes in sonar, it creates crop circles around the system at settings, a code weaving. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes it has symbols in center and trapplication. Here's a clocking system of its earth. Okay, this crop circle, right? Clocking system here, but they're all connected to each other through a laser ground. Right, so each crop circle is a map. Okay, so we all have to identify that the laser has a high line signals and 3 lines of communications going up in travel. Okay, sets all communications setting to your pyramid that changes track location to your highways. Setting direct signals into modification ground lines, communication setting, astral travels, astral connection, astral projections. All right. So what you see now, what you see in trapplication, its own vessel of communications that you'll be in next. That's why you have the earth in set track locations. Changes teleportation system. You're inside. Okay. And then you extend the platform of your earth. And then you travel out of sequence, which is outer space now, in set position. Now, when you center out, you can basically set up platforms at 24, go into 48, stop at 72. Okay, once you get into 72, you platform center of operation in the magnetic highway, which is your crown and track location. Now, once you come into your crown, you come into a portal of a stargate that goes through the system and lines of travel to higher lines of communication setting, a mechanism location system. Okay, but you have to truly understand why you have to be tethered to your earth. Right? But that's why you understand also too why there are crop circles on your earth. All it is creating different multiple levels, individual lines of settings, inter-application system of different vessels of communications. Very, very powerful stuff, guys. Okay? And look at this. Change the formation lines of grounds. Right? It's not what it is. See, it's different. See? Different communication. Right? So this is a teleportation vessel, but it's just existing on something else. Okay. But this is a sundial now. See? Sundial. Sun here and moon here in directions. There it is in setting. So I'm just showing you how you guys have to start identifying this now through your codings and understand how to use it through the letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, where everything has to be tethered to its earth location, sending to its code moving. That puts everything in set location to its subtractions and set calculations. All right. All right, that's it. Talk to you later.